So therefore, we concluded that future interventions designed to promote healthy lifestyle behaviours in Irish adolescents should give special consideration to students in designated disadvantaged schools. So this chapter, which has just been accepted for publication in +1, also included a comprehensive comparison of health-related physical fitness levels between participants in the current study and established European normative values that were developed as part of the Helena study published by Ortega and colleagues in 2011. So we used what is called the quintile classification framework to categorise participants based on the European norms. So age-matched comparisons of health-related physical fitness with Europeans norms were broadly positive for all components compared, with the exception of muscular strength and hand grip strength tests specifically. So as can be seen by the graph here, less than 10% of boys and girls scored in the top quintile, so the top 80th centile for hand grip strength. So again, to conclude, we suggested that future interventions designed to promote healthy lifestyle behaviours in Irish adolescents should include a muscular fitness focus. So moving on then to phase 3, the final phase and the final step, step 8, which was focused on an evaluation of the overall project itself. And we used an evaluation framework developed by Orsman and Cohn in 2015, which was designed specifically for a feasibility study, which my study was. And this framework comprised of 5 objectives, namely recruitment capability, data collection procedures, study resources, and finally then participants' responses. And we used a variety of sources to operationalize each element of this evaluation framework. As can be seen through the course of the project. So the recruitment capabilities, chapters 5 and 6, very much focusing on objectives 1 and 2. And then both the student and teacher survey very much informed the final 3 objectives in terms of study procedures, resources, and participants' responses to the overall project. So a comprehensive overview of each objective is beyond the scope of this presentation. So what I have done is focused on one key finding to emerge from each of the 5 listed objectives. So firstly, in terms of recruitment capability, participation rates in the final sample were greater than 75% in all schools and reached 100% in many schools. In terms of data collection procedures, positive reliability indices, as presented previously in the presentation, showed high ICC values and a very low combined mean coefficient of variation for the student-centred peer-assessed approach. In terms of the actual study procedures then, 95% of teachers agreed that test protocols and administration procedures were suitable. However, half of teachers did indicate that it was not feasible to deliver the test battery within the recommended double class period of physical education. Objective 4 then in resources, again 85% of teachers surveyed indicated that they would continue to use the software. However, half of teachers were undecided or disagreed that the quality of the student report output generated was high. And finally then, in terms of the overall project itself and participant responses to that, almost all teachers and 79% of students agreed that the Youth Fit project was a worthwhile experience. 95% of teachers indicated that they would like to incorporate the Youth Fit test battery as part of their PE programs into the future. So overall, positive feasibility benchmarks indicate that the Youth Fit test battery and software platform represents a feasible, pedagogically sound and scientifically rigorous approach for monitoring health-related fitness in school settings. So briefly then, in terms of dissemination. So in terms of scholarly output dissemination, as I've mentioned during the course of the presentation, we've had 3 articles published in high impact journals in my field, and we also have one that has just been accepted for publication. I've also presented my research at a variety of national and international conferences, including Shape America in Nashville, Happy Europe in Zagreb in Croatia, and just last summer at ASEP in New York. In terms of non-traditional scholarly output then, in May of last year, my project was featured on an RTE documentary. So RTE are our national broadcaster here in Ireland. I've also engaged in collaboration with the Professional Development Service for Teachers and the Physical Education Association of Ireland, and an ongoing collaboration since the publication of my 2 research papers in January of this year with the Department of Education and Skills here in the Republic of Ireland. So in all of this, how is this research unique given the amount of research that has been already conducted in this field? So I'd answer this probably from both an international and national perspective. So firstly, from an international perspective, this is the first study to confirm the impact of a pedagogically sound and student-centered approach to fitness testing. It's also the first study to confirm the reliability of the student-assessed measures of HRPF in school settings. From a national perspective, this is the first study to conduct a review of what's actually happening in terms of fitness testing in schools, and it represents the first standardized approach to confirming the potential of a large-scale system for monitoring HRPF and informing interventions, as I mentioned, with the test disparity. So what does this all mean? Well, it represents an evidence-based, pedagogically sound and scientifically rigorous approach that can inform future interventions and improve health-related fitness monitoring in schools among youth internationally. There are some limitations that should be noticed, so the results cannot be generalized for all year groups and grades because we focused on first year. Data from the school was collected on one occasion, so there wasn't a longitudinal dimension. And also, given the field-based nature of test administration in the school setting itself, some pragmatic sacrifice of validity and reliability are inevitable. And finally, then, the evaluation itself was based on a single data source through the student and teacher surveys. So this could have potentially resulted in a lack of depth for which qualitative methods may have offered more depth. And finally, then, in terms of future research direction, I would strongly suggest that a longitudinal dimension should be included for the next step or prior to a national rollout of the YouthFit project. Also, a cross-validation of established criteria and reference values to determine their acceptability among Irish adolescents. There's definitely potential for further research to examine the specific pedagogical approaches on quality, the quality that students the experience that they derive in the physical education setting. And finally, then, consideration should be given to technological solutions that facilitate sharing this data among key stakeholders. Collectively, then, the results of this thesis have important implications that can inform and enhance current research and practice approaches to HRPF monitoring in youth, putting in place the foundations for a potential national dissemination of the YouthFit project to all secondary schools in the Republic of Ireland. Thanks very much for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions now.